If you ask some students about Maxwell Place, they may have no idea what you are talking about. If you clarify that it's the president's house, they'll have an easier time recognizing it, but still might not have much to say. That is because to many students, the grounds of the president's house are used simply as a less crowded cut-through on the way to class. This is a common reaction of someone who hasn't spent any time there, but if you talk to students who have actually utilized the space, you will find something else entirely. My name is Emily, and in this podcast, I'm going to explore the culture of Maxwell Place. The grounds surrounding the president's house do have sidewalks that lead to and from campus, but there are also tall trees that provide shade from hot sun, sprawling grass fields for throwing a frisbee or laying out on, and a large patio with tables, chairs, and benches for students to relax or study on. At any point in the day, there is almost always at least one UK student sitting on the patio doing homework, talking on the phone, or hanging out with friends. Students in science classes can often be found roaming the grounds with a pen and paper, taking note of all the plant types they see. You can always hear birds chirping, leaves blowing in the wind, the soft sounds of the waterfall in the pond behind the patio, and the chatter of students as they walk to and from class. Part of the charm of the president's house is that it is largely overlooked by the university's population. It is a secluded, quiet spot on campus with a small amount of traffic flow from students passing by. Rain Esparza is a freshman studying sustainable agriculture.
I'm Rain, I'm a sustainable agriculture major, and I'm a freshman.
She says she goes to the president's house.
Not too often, most of my classes are real close by, but I've been there a few times when I'm just going someplace for fun, not for classes.
This is a common answer, as most students just walk by the president's house without thinking twice about it. This is a popular reason why many people don't spend time at the president's house, but some may argue that its privacy is what makes the president's house a great place to hang out. The fact that the space is off the beaten path makes it very uncrowded, and the space is always quiet because of this. When I asked Rain if she ever studies or hangs out there, she said,
Not since K-Week. We went through there one time.
And she studies
in my dorm or at the library mostly. Willie T.
The next thing I asked Rain is why she thinks a lot of people don't hang out there. She said,
I figure, well, it might still be quieter, but people might not know about it. A lot of times, places with air conditioning or places with, better access to internet are available.
I asked Rain if she would recommend the space to anyone, and she said,
if they like studying outdoors. I'd go there more often if it weren't kind of inconvenient. Other reasons people might not study there are just seasonal things. It's been real hot for a long time, but now it's a good temperature. So people might be going out specifically for that. But as it gets colder, again, it's probably going to drop off because of the heating. And it's been raining.
While it can add seasonal constraints to activity levels, the space being outdoors is what attracts many students. Adding to the fact that the space is very quiet and private, the area around the president's house is very green, full of trees, grass, flowers, a pond, and other aspects of nature that attract students. When the weather and temperature is pleasant, like Rain mentioned, students flock to outdoor spaces to spend their time in the sun and breeze before we have a freezing cold winter and can barely stand to walk to class. The sound of wind through trees and birds chirping adds a sense of peace and calming effects to any space, especially to the president's house. I asked Rain what she notices about the space, and she said,
It was really pretty, and I heard a lot of birds, saw a lot of squirrels. So I guess nature and just how calming it was.
And when I asked her if she would ever consider studying there, she replied,
Maybe if I'm going someplace that makes me go through it, and I'm still a bit early, I might stop there just because I like nature and being outdoors.
I also asked Rain,
would you ever consider going there to hang out or work on homework?
Maybe. It felt a little private though. It feels weird just being in what kind of is the equivalent of someone's yard or garden.
Some of the silence can also be attributed to the privacy aspect of the space being someone's backyard. This sense of being in someone else's space can cause students to be on the quieter side, which is one of the appealing parts of studying in the space. Students can also find comfort in coming here because of the building looking like any other house. A very expensive house, but a house nonetheless, which makes the space feel homey, for lack of a better word. This can be comforting and soothing to students experiencing homesickness. I also talked to Madeline Hockey, another freshman. Madeline found the president's house.
During orientation, my leader took me through outside home and said that some people like to study there, and that's when I kind of realized that I would like to study there because there's not many people there all the time.
Madeline goes to the president's house.
Whenever the weather is nice, I like to go out there. There's lots of animals running around and stuff.
And when she's there,
I like to study It's nice and quiet there, so it's nicer than studying in the library where there's lots of distractions.
When I asked her if she's usually alone or with friends in the space, she said,
Most of the time I'm alone. Sometimes if I'm working on like a group project, I'll ask like my group to meet me there, or even my roommates will study with me there sometimes.
Madeline is a perfect example of a student who likes the quiet and nature-filled environment of the president's house. Her favorite part of the space is that
It's nice and quiet. It's definitely more scenic than the library would be, and sometimes there's like little animals like squirrels and birds, and I just like all the leaves, especially since it's beginning to be fall now.
I asked Madeline the same question I asked Rain, and she responded in a similar way.
Why do you think people don't know about it?
I feel like it's a little bit off the path from like where most people walk, and most people don't know that you can cut like through the yard and go like right up to the house.
My last question to Madeline was if she would recommend the space to a friend, and she said,
Yes, I really like it because it's nice and quiet, and not many people know that you can sit out there, and there's a lot of tables and benches.
Madeline likes this aspect of the space being overlooked because it is secluded and quiet. I asked Madeline how the space makes her feel and described the atmosphere of the space, and she said,
It makes me feel good being outside. I'm from Chicago, so it's pretty cold, and then it's been nice and breezy out there, so it kind of feels like home right now. It's very natural. I mean, it's in a kind of wooded area, and there's lots of leaves and greenery out there.
Madeline likes being in the space because of the weather, which is why many students are attracted to the president's house. The most important part of the culture of a space is how it makes people feel, and this is individual to each person who goes there. When I go to the president's house, I feel comforted by the house itself and the trees because it reminds me of my backyard at home. And Madeline likes the space because the weather also reminds her of home. People in general, but especially homesick college students who are away from home for the first time, are always looking for ways to feel comforted and at home in their new surroundings, and this is exactly what the president's house provides. The president's house is an often overlooked feature on campus, but it provides an outdoor space for students to study that is peaceful, quiet, and makes students feel comfortable. The space is soothing to students who are homesick and who enjoy the outdoors, and its status of being largely unknown by many students makes it feel private and secluded for other people who go there.